If I look familiar, it is because I filmed 2 other videos today. Sorry if some of the videos look very similar to one another. Today I would like to talk to you about how I was a catfish. This is not clickbait. I was a legit catfish. Before I go into telling my story, please do not discriminate me right away. Listen to my story fully. Try to understand my point of view. Try to understand their point of view before you start really bashing on me, because I understand that this subject can be a little bit sensitive. Not at all in any way am I justifying what I had done. I do see myself as a bad person for what I had done. For years, I have made myself feel bad for the things I have done. I started going on the internet when I was 11 or 12 years old in 7th grade. My friend had moved from where we were living up to New Jersey, and she was the closest person I was to at that time. So the best way for us to keep in communication was through a chat room called Palace. Now, I did not start catfishing right away, do not get me wrong. At first, it was all good and dandy. We'd just talk to everyone on there. I was pretty good at staying on there and making friends and everything. I was a very nice person back then. I say that as if I'm a bad person now, but I didn't have any problems with anyone, so I didn't go on there to get attention. I didn't go on there to hurt people. I didn't go on there to fall in love. I mean, yeah, I've had relationships on there. I wish I didn't. About 2 years later, when the internet really got big for people of my age and for people, you know, a little bit older than me, it became a big thing. My parents started hearing news about predators finding kids off the internet for the smallest little traits that they were giving off. They don't even have to give off their full name. They don't even have to give off their age. They don't have to even give off their address or phone number. They were still finding them from little things such as their school mascot or their school colors. They were finding them through that stuff. They were finding them through their little names and it popping up with their emails and them doing that way. Predators were finding children very easily, kidnapping them, sexually abusing them, and ultimately sometimes even killing them. Sometimes they weren't even found. My parents were very scared that something like that was going to happen to me, especially since that time period, which I was about 13 or 14 years old. I think 13 years old. I was getting to that point in my starting teenage years where I didn't want to get off the internet when I was told to get off the internet. So I was becoming a little like a teen would. I was getting agitated. I had to get off because at the time the computer was out in the office room where everyone would use it. So if I had to let someone borrow the computer, I would have a panic attack because I'm borderline and such. So they were getting scared that I was giving information out that I shouldn't, because I was getting attached to people. Now I did date older people while I was on there. None of them I've ever met. Now that that's done, my parents had to sit down with me telling me how I shouldn't give any information on the internet, how they really don't want me on the internet because they're scared that I might accidentally give them off any information. So they started getting really, really scared about it. And I kept reassuring them, I'm not doing anything like that, I'm not doing anything like that. But they kept saying, even the smallest little thing they can find you with now. And that's true. Hackers can get your IP and get all your stuff that way. I mean, it's very possible. I very know it now because I've grown up learning about it, because around that time period I started getting into criminology, I started getting into investigations, I was really into that stuff, so I knew a little things here and there too about how to do that when I was young. I understood exactly what their point of view was, but then I also had schizophrenia and I was suffering through paranoia myself. I still kept my persona when I started the Catfish. I had myself and I had my second persona. I kept to the second persona because of my paranoia that was growing. I was afraid someone was going to find me. Now let me explain my persona. I'm going to give you a false name just in case. I didn't do anything terrible. I just don't want to give off my name, because what if someone did, they're like, oh, I don't know. I just don't want to give off my personal name. This is a personal preference. So I'm going to name myself Bill. No, I'm going to name myself Dean, because Dean is my favorite Winchester. So I named myself Dean, and at that time, Dean was 17 years old, male obviously, and he lived all the way in Oregon across the country from me. So I was hoping that in any way they couldn't find me. I came up with a whole lifestyle from he was adopted, he had a younger brother, who was a friend of mine who kind of came into the catfishing world with me to help secure me from possibly doing this. I don't know why he did, but I know ultimately he was also a very big troll too. He liked trolling people. And in the beginning of this, I mostly just used that second persona to troll people. Now, when I say troll back then was a slightly different topic. Hanging out with people, making really bad jokes, because I was a young girl at the time, and I wasn't funny. I just thought I was funny. People laughed, so I guess what's funny to them. There were some instances, though, I will admit, that people or girls fell in love with my Dean character. I don't know why. I wasn't ever flirtatious to them. I wasn't really doing anything to spurt that reaction from them. I mean, I did listen to them when they talked to me. I did talk to them back. And, you know, I got into guys when they did that for me too. So maybe that was the case, but I never ever tried pulling them on like, oh yeah, let's go out. And I just said, no, I'm not comfortable with that, I'm sorry. So it wasn't like I was ever trying to win people over at first. Later on, I'll explain what happened. I wasn't ever trying to do that. I didn't want to hurt people. I didn't want to do that to them because that was I was bullied pretty heavily in elementary school and middle school myself, so I didn't want to bring that into my new persona I was trying to hide myself with. Years passed, about I was 15 years old when this bad stuff started happening, where I see myself as a bad person. It first started off where I met this person on MySpace, because back then MySpace was a big thing. The person's name, I'm gonna say it because they had multiple accounts, and they did this to hurt people. I found a person named Suyu. Tsuyu. No, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna find them now. I think they terminated that account and everything like that. Well, Suyu was a Miyabi impersonator. Miyabi is a Japanese rock star. He now lives in America, but back then he lived in Japan. He was in Japan solely. He was doing mostly Japanese stuff. Well, the guy claimed that he was a Japanese rock star impersonator in California. That's a little unusual because back then, if you're in Japan, you stay in Japan, you do the impersonations in Japan, etc. Now, he had stolen all the pictures from Miyabi's old stuff back when he was with his original band before he became Miyabi and was Miyabi. So that's what kind of threw me off immediately. He added me as my second persona as Dean. He was trying to hook up with me, so I decided to make Dean gay in hopes that maybe I can lean off of girls from flirting with me. And because I wasn't really talking to much males. So when he started talking to me, I did lean, at that time I already had leaned him off of girls and just made him gay in hopes to kind of, like I said, so girls kind of stopped. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I really didn't. He started flirting with my character. We started talking. I didn't take the flirtation right away, but something was weird about him. Like, you can tell there's something off. You just had that feeling like, this isn't right. You're not really who you say you are, but I didn't want to say that to the person's face because back then, catfishing was a very hush-hush thing, and I was doing it myself, so I didn't want to do that to that person. Maybe they had a good reason why they were doing it. I didn't know. I didn't learn about this stuff being a bad thing until, like, when Catfish came out. I didn't consider it that way. I was doing it to protect myself from predators. Well, we eventually did get into a relationship, and I think the reason why I got into a relationship is because I really wanted to put those pieces together. It was bothering the crap out of me. I like mysteries, like I had said. I want to solve the mystery. Well, I looked up the pictures. Obviously, all of the pictures went to the actual Miyabi person. Now I knew right away those pictures are fake. This person has to be fake. But I wanted more evidence without just saying, you're fake because your pictures are fake. I wanted more proof. I wanted to be more logical about it. So I dated the person for a while, I think for 4 months. I had gained a friend during those 4 months because she added me. She's a real person. She's still my very, very close friend. She knows who I am now. And she helped me through a lot of things during this entire session I'm about to tell you about. She's going to be mentioned. I'm going to call her Sammy, because I don't want to give off her name because of personal things she's going through. So Sammy was always there for me. She was always a great friend. She never tried hooking up with my character at all. She never tried. We were just really, really close as people. Now, mind you, back then I was able to twist my voice into a sound like a male voice, although on the phone it sounded like a young male voice, like they just are reaching puberty. So I wasn't able to talk to people over the phone. I wasn't trying to hide it that way. I never took pictures of myself. And yeah, I took like 1 or 2 pictures off the internet to pretend to be that character as Dean. Now, they weren't hard to find, so anyone could really have said you're a fake because of these pictures. I wasn't trying to, just getting people off my back about not sending them pictures. Here, have some kind of thing. I wasn't trying very hard. And I didn't care so much when they started pushing it on me about, you're possibly a fake. I just didn't care. Because, you know, whatever. I was on there to hide myself from bad people. I wasn't there to hide myself from the possibly good ones. Suyu person ended up doing some really, really terrible things to me emotionally. Now, when I say that, I wasn't attached to them in any way. When we ended up ending it off, I wasn't hurt by it, but what ended up occurring hurt me because of other reasons. Now, what happened is Suyu, or Suyu's friend, would call me often, it was a girl, saying that all these things Suyu had done, like he tried killing himself through cutting. On my actual birthday, she called me saying that he electrocuted himself in the bathtub and he only had like a 25% chance of surviving it. he's in the hospital. She would say these things to me, and I don't play lightly with suicide in any way. I've been suicidal since 6th grade because of voices, because of bullying, because I was seeing things I couldn't explain. I had a very bad experience with suicide because of my own experiences. I never ever want anyone to go through it. Anytime anyone had just gone through something bad in their life, I was trying to be there to help them because I didn't want them to think like that at all. It's a terrible thought. Even for bad people, I don't want them to think that. That's a dark place you don't want to touch. You just don't want to touch that. I like to see myself as a strong person. I don't want to touch that. I don't even like saying the word suicide without having a problem. So she kept saying this, and the one on my birthday really threw me off because I didn't want to imagine someone hurting themselves. That she didn't give me a good reason. She just said, oh, he did it because, you know, he hates himself. Okay. My Dean personality did have the same birthday as me because I didn't want to make one up. I didn't want to go that far. But they did have a different year of birth because he was older than me. After she made that initial call, I kept calling her throughout the day, seeing if anything was updated, is everything okay? And at one point in the afternoon, I called her, she was laughing and playing, and you can hear water splashing in the background. I'm like, what are you doing? Your friend is in the hospital. And she's like, oh, yeah, but me and my other friend are at this hotel that my dad works at, or owns, I can't remember what she said, and we're just playing in the pool. I'm like, your friend is in the hospital, and you're just having a grand old time talking to the person he's dating and laughing about it. So that's what really threw me off. And I wasn't crying anymore after that. I was infuriated. Because then I'm like, I have a feeling that this Suyu person isn't real at all, and this is the person who's doing it all. And guess what? I did find it out. I was able to crack the code. I don't remember how I was able to. I think I was able to get her to admit it somehow. But she had 11 to 12 different accounts. And she was dating 11 to 12 different people as mostly male people, lying to them. Man, when I cracked that code, I was like, I deleted her and I don't want to put up with this. Who would do this to people like this? I couldn't fathom it at that point because, like I said, I was doing it for a whole nother reason. I was doing it to protect myself. She was doing it to hurt people. She was doing it to get things from, to get attention from. She did this sort of thing, talking about suicide, talking about being raped, talking about police breaking into their house or something like that. Something about people kidnapping her and going into her house and kidnapping her. She just pulled that one on me too. All because she wanted that attention. If you need that much attention, go to a psychologist. Go to a therapist. Get help. Either I stopped communicating with her, but I had made friends through her victims, as I would call them. One of the victims was a other male, and we dated for a short time because I just liked the way he was as a person. I just wanted to hang out with him because he had a great personality. He was a very positive person. I just liked it so much. So we dated for a short time. We weren't ever really close. But he broke up with my character because of Suyu saying some nasty stuff about me. Now, I wasn't dating him to date him, and I don't think he was either. We just kind of clicked and we just, you know, called it dating. And then I dated like a few other people in between. Again, never really thinking that we were going to go anywhere, and I wasn't trying to get their attention. I wasn't saying anything bad about my life. I wasn't calling them. I just was talking to them and having relationships with them and not thinking it was going to go anywhere. And I don't think any of them did either because they just went off and cheated on me. After that, my birthday is in April. All that happened till July. I had met a person named, I'm gonna call him Billy. Okay, so I had met a guy named Billy in July. We were good friends. Suyu had come back into my life as another personality. Found her out like in seconds. Stopped talking to her, and then I met Billy, who helped me through the situation afterwards because I was pretty distraught. I can't believe this is happening again, kind of thing. He talked me through it, and he was what he claimed was originally straight. Although you could kind of tell he wasn't straight, but I wasn't going to pry on that because that's your own personal preference and everything. But he ended up turning gay for my Dean character. At least that's what he said. Now, we talked to him was immediately on the phone, and we did end up dating because I just loved him. He was so fun to talk to, so positive, like the other one I mentioned. He was just bubbly and happy, and it was great talking to him. He had a great history. He was just a great person at first. In November that year, something twisted in him. So what ended up happening is Billy he claimed he was Native American / Korean, though he looked completely Native American, and later on I think I could claim from his sister or his brother that they're full-blooded Native American. Don't know why he brought in the Korean part. I think it's because my character Dean, I based more of a race of Asian because I'm really big into anime back then. So I based his race off of Asian because I was very attracted to Asian people at that time period. What ended up happening, let me try to explain as best as possible without making it sound weird. One day, he calls me and says, "I can't believe you did that." I was like, did what? And he said, "You've been talking to the spirit who possesses my body for a week, and you've been flirting with them." Now, this has never been mentioned to me before, so I was like, very confused and very shocked. I was like, "Spirit inside your body?" He's like, "Yeah, I have 2 spirits in my body. I couldn't believe you couldn't tell it was not me." I'm like, again, this has never been mentioned to me before, this November date, and this apparently week. He didn't act different, he didn't sound different, he was the same person, he was the same Billy, same exact personality, everything. There was no way you could tell there was any difference. There was no difference, just none. Not in the way he typed in the computer, not the way he spoke. Everything was to T to who he was. I told him, like, there's no difference. There was no difference. I couldn't tell, and I didn't want to call him crazy because at that age, which I was 15 still, I was starting to get really bad new episodes of schizophrenia. My schizophrenia was finally arising to its limits. Finally, it was like I started to see things, started hearing things, started to see things. So I was kind of losing my mind myself, and I didn't want to point out things like that to other people because that would have been rude to me, I thought, at least. And plus, I loved him. I loved his personality. I thought, okay, he's a little cray-cray. Maybe we could talk through it and I can help him through whatever he's going through. I'm going through some shit too, so when I talked to him about my shit, all of a sudden, "No, you're lying to me." That's actually what happened later on. So he ended up doing this until we actually broke it off fully. So here are some of the things that occurred. He said that happened, and oftentimes one day he would be that spirit, which was named Kyoko. I'm just gonna say the spirit's name, which was Japanese. It's a Japanese name. He said that the spirit's Kyoko, and he wanted to torment me because I don't even know why. He was just angry at me. He was an angry spirit, and he was angry at me for no reason at all. And he was just coming after me every other day, sometimes pretending that he was Billy, and Billy would come back yelling at me because I was confused. I didn't know who he was. It was a hectic ray of what? It was like that for months. So one day, the biggest thing that kind of threw me off in this whole spirit or possibly split personality deal was he called me and he was like, "Kyoko's been to your house. He saw you." Now, instantly, for a split second, I believed him. I was like, shit, I'm caught. But then I was like, wait a minute. And I responded with something along the lines of, "Oh, and did he enjoy what he saw?" Because I was just like, okay. And he's like, "Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Did you do a dance for him? Were you flirting with him? Were you naked walking around?" I'm like, obviously he didn't come to the right window because he didn't see me. Because he didn't bring me up the fact that I was a girl. It's like, I was really flabbergasted. The reason why I'm laughing is it still astounds me to this day that happened. That's how you respond. It's not, he didn't tell you that I was a girl. Should you be more brought up on that point? That happened in like February. After that, I didn't believe that the spirit was real. But I went along with the punishments he brought to me afterwards because by then I felt guilty for continuing this persona, for continuing this relationship when I knew I should have just ended it. I knew I should have stopped this fakeness because people, by then I was like, what I'm doing is wrong. I'm doing just something as bad as to you. I'm leading these people on believing that maybe they're in love with me. And I didn't think any of them were truly in love with me until this person. At least he told me he was in love with me. I don't think he was because of the things that ended up occurring. But I felt terrible for him. Like, I want to quit this. I don't want this anymore. I don't want to hurt people. And that's what I thought I was doing. I wanted to end it, but I was scared of ending it with him because I was scared of the consequences, not only that he would do to himself, but the consequences he would eventually do to me. Because I knew by that time he had a grip on me. Because if I stayed that long enough with that type of treatment, mind you, it was way worse during those months than what I'm describing. I just can't remember it, but I remember back then I was pretty traumatized from it. I got suicidal at one point because of it. Because he put me through stuff. One of the traumas is his spirit told him he would possess his body and then go have him get raped in an alleyway. And I was petrified. For some reason I believed that. I'm schizophrenic. Saying stuff like that for a second will make me believe it to a second. And it will have me react in that second because it suddenly is a reality for me. I was scared. I was very, very scared. And afterwards I was like, no, this won't happen. Either way, he did stuff like that to me a lot. And he did this all the way to May. By then, I wanted to say it to him. I just didn't know how to bring it up without feeling like I was going to get tortured or beaten up for it. Not like literally, but I didn't want and be sad. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to go with it because it was nothing I've ever heard of before. And I was starting to study psychology a little bit because, like I said, I started having some issues myself. And when I was trying to talk to him about my issues, it was suddenly, you're a liar, you don't have those things. Here is the thing. After this particular event, my schizophrenia got worse tenfold. Here's why. A week before we broke it off, I had told him about how you could catch a liar from lying. I don't know how I got into that subject. I think it's because I was learning things about it because I was into criminology and everything like that. And I said a good way to tell is if you ask a person a question, they hesitate for a split second. Sometimes you can tell that they're lying because they're trying to come up with a story or trying to remember the story. And a week after that, he's like, I have something to tell you. I was like, okay. He's like, I'm really not who I say I am. I'm a 13-year-old Asian boy who's really, really fat, and I just did this because I wanted attention and everything like that. I'm like, he asked me what I thought about it, and I said to him, I will still love you for who you are. I might not date you because that's a little young for me. Me at the 15, I didn't believe in that type of age difference. Now, mind you, that's only 2 years difference, and now I'm 26, 27, turning 27, and my husband's 25, so now I'm kind of doing that now, at that time period at least. But anyways, I was like, I don't know if I could date you, hoping that it could kind of lead us away from dating anymore. And he was like, oh good, you still love me for me and everything. And I lied about that. I just want to test you. You wouldn't do that to me, would you? And I hesitated. I hesitated for a good 10 seconds because I was so surprised it was turned around on me. I was like, oh shit. And within that 10 seconds, because I was just so surprised about it, he's like, you're not who you say you are you? I took a deep breath. I said, no, I'm not. I changed my voice to my regular voice. I said, I'm a girl. I'm 15. I didn't do this to ever hurt you. I was not expecting us to get into a relationship, and I was not expecting it to get this far. I thought we would just end up staying friends because although we had interest, we didn't have the settling interest that a person would stay in a relationship for. We had like big differences too, and I knew it wasn't going to be anything in the future. I didn't think he thought it was going to be anything in the future because of the way he was acting to me. And I don't think he knew I was a different person, because why would you prolong it from November all the way to May the next year? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? Just come at me then. Or come at me in a different way. Don't make up a spirit and do all that stuff. Either way, I didn't think he thought that. I think he had recently found out about it because maybe my mom came in and called my name or something while I was on the phone, because that happened occasionally. I was just quick to put the mute button on kind of thing. Either way, I failed. And, oh man, he started bawling. I started bawling. He hung up on me, and I ended up calling my friend Sammy that I told you about earlier. And I told her the truth because he threatened he was going to tell all my friends. I wanted to get to my friends first to explain to them why I had faked a personality to begin with. I didn't want them thinking I was coming at them or hurting them or anything like that, because I wasn't. I was just close friends to a lot of people because I wanted to be close friends to people, but I didn't want them to know who I was because a lot of people lie on the internet. And he said he was going to go after all my friends and ruin all my friendships because of that. And I got to Sammy first because she was the closest person to me. She helped me through a lot of my episodes at the time. And I told her the truth. She was perfectly fine with it. In a second, she's like, I don't care. You know, I love you. You are the only person who's continued to call me every day to make me feel good. You always helped me through everything. She just was great at responding to me. I was freaking out, just having episodes ready. And she was just the sweetest person ever. Just don't worry about it. Just keep calm. Get to your friends and talk to them calmly so they don't freak out, and just tell them the truth, and they're gonna still love you because you are a great person. You've never hurt any of us, not that I've seen. She made me feel good as a person, even though I had faked my personality. At least had a fake character. I acted like myself, mind you. I just had a different persona to hide myself physically. That's when things got really, really bad. He did end up calling me a lot throughout the next 5 months. Now, these 5 months are extremely important in this story because within a week he told me that I asked him, is there anything I could do to repay him for all the things I had done to them, or for the wastefulness of the time we dated, everything like that, so I could just repay him back. Is there anything I could do? Can I call him every once in a while to make sure he was okay, to keep an eye on him? Can I don't know, tell him all my secrets? I don't know what I could have done because I didn't know where he lived. Well, he lived in New Mexico. But was there anything I could do to make him feel better for what things I had done? And he said to me, yeah, you can go kill yourself. That unlocked a gate. Right after that, he hung up with me, and I started hearing those voices worse than I've ever heard those voices in my life. All I started hearing was whispering, "You're nothing, you'll be nothing. No one will love you for you. You're disgusting. You've hurt everyone. No one wants you around." They kept repeating and repeating, and there were about like 3 voices at first, and every single day they became more and more and more. And sometimes they wouldn't even be whispering, they would scream like at the top of the screaming to the point I was on my knees and hold my hands over my ears trying to get it to stop, because this is unfamiliar to me. It was never this bad. And they were trying to, "Go kill yourself, go kill yourself. You don't deserve to live. You don't deserve any of this." So I tried. I have over 160 cuts on this arm alone. No, I'm not gonna show you because the cuts that I have on here are really hard to see in the light. I've tried showing before. I don't even know if you can see it like that. See, you can't see it because of my skin tone. I have a yellow skin tone. It doesn't help this lighting. Maybe one day I will try to get a better lighting where you can see it. I can explain the suicidal attempts that I've tried and how I coped with it. But there's some on here you can't really see. I tried taking sleeping medication, none of which I ever gone through with fully. I did take a lot of it, but not to a point where I had to go to the hospital or anything. I think I got afraid at that point because I felt like I wasn't doing it to myself. I felt like my schizophrenia had a control over me in a way. It was bad. I tried drowning myself. It was a horrible 5 months. He would call me back every other day telling me how he let himself get raped. And when I say that, I don't believe he was. Because the way he brought it on was not like a rape victim. Why would you go do that to yourself? Why would you put down people who have been raped by saying that stuff? The way he brought it up was not like a rape victim at all. You would start laughing about it. So I didn't believe that. But it still hurt my feelings. Don't do that. Don't go calling someone just to put that in their face and put that in their mind. And he was dating all these people and he was totally fine and he was never loved me to begin with. And he kept doing this for 5 months. And the only reason why it stopped is because my parents found my cuts in my arms. And I tried explaining to them why. That I was hearing voices and they were telling me to do it. And I felt like I was being controlled and they didn't believe me. So after that, I was like grounded from everything. Couldn't do anything. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was just in my room and that's it. And I started new school year, 5 months later. I didn't bring up my schizophrenia for years after that. I had to deal with all those episodes by myself for years because I was afraid that no one would believe me that I had these issues. And I had to live for years thinking that everything I had done to that kid was wrong, that I was the bad guy, that I was nasty because those voices reminded me of them over and over and over again. Now he only called me like once or twice 2 years after that. And he would only call me to tell me and rub in my face how he's dating this wonderful new guy. And then he would hang up on me. I obviously got a different number. And I just never heard from him again. I had suffered from going through that, thinking that I was the bad guy and I was this nasty person who didn't deserve to live because I was trying to hide my personality and hide who I was and hide where I was living, hide my family and everything like that. Not thinking that those relationships were going anywhere. I didn't think that anyone loved me fully because I was 15. I didn't think anyone loved me. I didn't. Not only this year, now that I'm 26, I stopped catfishing, by the way, all the way back then. When I was 15, I stopped. After that, it was 20. It would technically have been 16 because it was after April. So it was technically I was 16 after that, and I stopped. I never did it again. Zach talked to me about it after I explained it to him, and he said, "I think he were doped too. I don't think he was in that relationship to be in that relationship with someone. I think he wanted someone to play with." From the sounds of it, from his perspective. Now that he brought it up, the way he brought it up, which I don't really remember how he brought it up to me, but it made sense to me at that time. I was like, yeah, the kind of things he did do, he didn't have to do. Even if he knew I was fake, he didn't have to do any of that. He could have pointed it out to me. He could have just said, I would have been honest with it. At that point, then yes. But he prolonged it, and I was being tortured for those months. Everything he had put me through, I got hurt by. That is all for my catfish story. I know it's long, I'm sorry it's this long, but that's literally all I did. I don't know if that makes me a bad person. I feel like a bad person still for doing that, but I feel less than a bad person because Zach made me see that, you know, even if you did do that bad, he kind of did bad stuff to you too. I mean, he told you to kill yourself. You don't go tell someone that. Even if they're your worst enemy, unless they're a legit bad person like Hitler, don't go telling someone to go kill themselves. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment if you want to subscribe after this video. Go on ahead. I mostly do makeup videos, health videos, but I do bring up my mental health also. So, bye. I hope you guys had a great day, and I hope that you guys didn't have to suffer anything like I just described.